not a third, not a fifth. You got a fourth. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Hi, Carla. Now.
Wait, you want to? Okay.
Oh.
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Okay. Yes, everyone good? Good there? Okay. Well, everyone, we got some great news today. And I want to just say to all the folks here who educate our youngest kids, who give them the strong start they deserve in life, this is a really wonderful moment, a moment that so many of you have been calling for and working for so many years, and that moment has come. I want to start by saying to all our educators and all the people who take care of our kids, thank you. And I like your slogan, our time is now. That's good. That's good. So, this is great news for our children and for our families and for the future of early childhood education in New York City. We in this administration have focused from day one on early childhood education. It will frame the future of this entire city and every family in it. And we had to get it right. And today is about taking a big, big step forward. It's been a lot of work. I want to give a lot of credit to folks here who have stayed with this to come to a fair agreement. But what it comes down to is, I have believed from the beginning that for New York City, education had to be our #1 priority, and early childhood education was the foundation. That wasn't true in the past, but now it's become more true every single year in New York City, with tremendous support from the City Council, with tremendous support from the labor movement. We have changed the nature of education in New York City, but we knew we had more to do. We knew that we faced a profound challenge, which was ensuring we had enough educators. We had enough personnel to take care of our children. And we saw, as our early child education efforts expanded, unintended reality that we were having a real challenge, consistent challenge, recruiting and retaining the staff that we needed, the personnel we needed to take care of our kids. And as this challenge grew, it became very clear we had to do something different. It was important to show our appreciation, our respect for the people who do the work, but it was profoundly necessary to ensure there were enough educators for our children. And seeing that retention and recruitment challenge grow, it was one of the reasons we had to act decisively together. Now, as a result of this agreement, we will have the quality educators and all the other key staff in place for the long term to make sure our kids get that start they deserve, and to ensure we have a city where every child gets to start at the same starting line, a city where we really put equality into action. So there is a lot to celebrate today. This is a profound moment, and I'm going to call upon some of my colleagues here in a moment, but I want to give some credit as credit is due to folks on my team who worked really, really hard to get us to this day, and have been working on this issue even going back to the beginning of the administration when we first took action to address parity issues. I want to thank, of course, our first Deputy Mayor, Dean Foulahan, our Labor Commissioner, Renee Campion, our Budget Director, Melanie Hartzog, and our Deputy Chancellor for Early Education, Josh Wallach. All of them have been deeply, deeply involved. Will you join me in giving all of them a round of applause? And I want to emphasize to everyone that all the people I just named felt this was an important mission and a labor of love, because I wanted to get to a day where we resolve these issues. And I want to just say it says a lot about them as public servants and human beings. They thought this was important to do as a matter of fairness and for the future of our children. And that energy helped us get to this day. Now, let's be really clear about what it takes to actually educate our kids right from the beginning. We all together had to devote ourselves to full-day pre-K for every single child. And then we went and took the next big step, 3K for every child. And everyone should realize how quickly that is moving. We're going to have 20,000 kids in 3K in September. The following September, we'll be in 14 school districts, 24,000 kids. This is moving and growing, and the day is coming soon where it'll be a universal right in New York City. That means we need a lot of great educators. We need a lot of great team members in all the places that educate our kids to keep up with that growing demand, but a demand we should have satisfied a long time ago, an issue we should have addressed a long time ago, getting it right when kids can learn best between birth and 5 years old. Everyone in this room understands it. Now we're doing something to deepen our commitment, and that was not true in the past in this city. This city invested in a lot of other things in education, some important things, but missed what was the most important time, when kids could learn the most and learn the best. Very beginning of their lives. So we spent a lot of money, but we missed the most important part of the equation, and now we're getting it right finally. Not only did we devote ourselves as a city to full-day pre-K for every child for free, and eventually full-day 3K for every child for free, even the beginning of this administration, we focused on our educators and all they bring to the table and all they need. We focused on professional development. We focused on advancement opportunities. And we knew from the beginning that our early child educators needed to experience real progress on the pathway to parity. And one of the things we did in the very beginning was to give pre-K teachers a raise. And now we're taking the next big step for all the early education teachers represented by 1707, District Council 1707. And I'm going to turn to Henry Garrido in a moment, but I want to say to Henry, I want to say to Kim Medina, an extraordinary effort, extraordinarily good and productive negotiations brought us to this day. And that's why I can now formally announce on behalf of the City of New York an agreement between District Council 1707 and the Daycare Council that will cover all 1707 employees, including non-certified teachers and support staff. And I want to commend everyone. I want to commend everyone. And something Henry said to me just a few minutes ago, I think it's a line he made up himself. He said, it takes a village to educate our children. So, you know, all the folks who work in our early childhood centers, all the folks who make such a difference, everyone will benefit, and everyone deserves to benefit in this agreement. And I want to say thank you again to all of you. Now, as with every labor agreement, this is pending ratification. The workers ultimately have to vote. So we're telling you what's been agreed to, but reminding everyone that the final step in the process is a ratification vote by the workers. But so important to say that this agreement is fair to the people who do the work, fair to our families and our children, also fair to our taxpayers. This is an agreement that works in terms of the city's budgetary reality, our fiscal needs. It's a balanced agreement, and that's something we're very, very proud of. The members of 1707 will also see something that they've talked about for a long time as being a crucial need. They will see more affordable health care costs. The city will continue to work with health and hospitals and Metro Plus and the union to look for ways to reduce premiums and reduce copays and help members get a more affordable health care. And there's been an ongoing issue, as I mentioned before, of how do we attract and how do we retain quality teachers in this crucial, crucial sector. We know that with all certified early childhood teachers, and that means pre-K and 3K educators, with all of them getting pay raises for the next 3 years, we will have the ability to recruit and retain the very best. That's what we celebrate on behalf of our children. What does that mean? By 2021, teachers with bachelor's degrees will earn $17,000 more per year. And teachers with master's degree will earn $20,000 more per year by 2021. There will be pay parity with Department of Education schools for starting salaries. And that means that community-based centers will be able to attract and retain that talent that they need. We know that the ability of teachers to devote themselves to this work and know it is sustainable for themselves and their families is what's going to help all families. Now again, ratification process ahead, but once this agreement is ratified, it will be the model going forward for certified early childhood education teachers across the board. And again, will be a difference maker in all of our efforts to make sure the talent is there on a consistent basis. I'll finish by saying something very personal. I got inspired to focus on early child education because of the experiences that my children had. And I saw what it meant, and I can't imagine the difference that it would have made had they not had that available to them. My children blossomed and grew because they had wonderful teachers early on in their life who really helped them reach their potential. Every single child deserves that. Every single child deserves it, and that means we have to have those quality teachers, and we have to have enough of them for every child. That's what we're securing today. We want to be the fairest big city in America. That means making sure every child is treated equally, and that can't happen unless the very best are there to serve them, and I believe you are among the very best. So. So, just very quickly in Spanish, la educación es la prioridad número uno de nuestro gobierno. Queremos los mejores maestros para nuestros niños más pequeños. Por eso, estamos aumentando los salarios de los docentes en educación preescolar. Esto nos ayudará a contratar maestros de calidad, así como a asegurar que todos nuestros hijos tienen la mejor educación. With that, I'm going to turn to Speaker Corey Johnson. Thank you to the Spanish speakers. I got a public education, you see. It worked for me. It worked for me. As I turn to the speaker, first want to say a great thank you to the members of the council. And when we had the handshake agreement just weeks ago, we all said that we believed in each other, we trusted each other, we knew we were moving forward together. I want to welcome and thank Councilmember Mark Traeger, Councilmember Carlina Rivera, Councilmember Helen Rosenthal. Thank you all for all you do. Three members we've worked very closely with on a host of issues, and we have all learned over these years that we have a common bond and we can work things through together. So when the speaker and I stood there, we said, we know where we want to go and we're going to get there. And we got there pretty damn fast. So, but I also want to say the speaker in the budget negotiations, and he was resolute is a good word to use. This issue, I believe Speaker Corey Johnson raised it in the budget negotiations approximately 247 times. And it was a constant, to say the least. And his belief that this is what we had to do to protect the future of our kids and also to be fair to working people. He said, this is what matters to him, this is what matters to council, we gotta get it done, and we said we will work together to figure out that framework and get there quick. That's what we celebrate today, but I want to say that the speaker set that priority, and I honored that priority, and I respected that priority greatly, and it just shows what can happen when people actually work together for a common goal. So Speaker Corey Johnson, congratulations.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for getting this done quickly. We did the handshake on the budget less than 3 weeks ago, and we said at that handshake that this was going to be done in an expeditious manner and a thoughtful and fair manner, and that's what we're announcing today. This is a historic day for early childhood education in the city of New York, and the mayor thanked these folks already, but I really want to thank the advocates who passionately fought decades for certified teachers and community-based organizations to achieve pay parity, including the Daycare Council of New York, the Citizens Committee for Children, and FPWA, headed by my friend and our friend Jennifer Jones-Austin, who was really key in this conversation and who fought tirelessly and partnered with us these last few months. The mayor gave him his due, but I just want to say it publicly that Henry Garrido has been such a joy, a real joy to work with throughout this entire process, really thoughtful and level-headed and fair and calm, partnering with Kim Medina, who has been championing this for such a long time. And I am really, really, really grateful. I'm really grateful for Kim Medina's leadership and really grateful for Kim and Henry's partnership in getting us to this really important moment today. I want to thank the mayor for his leadership on this issue. He, I think, spoke about it, but it deserves to be reiterated. I think a centerpiece of this administration in the last almost 6 years of his mayoralty has been ensuring that parents don't have to make really painful and unfair decisions as it relates to childcare and education for their children. And it was the theme and narrative of his campaign in 2013. And he won on that, and then he, in his first 6 months, got universal pre-K, but then we've continued to deepen that commitment over the years with 3K and with this agreement today. So I want to thank the mayor for his leadership and his commitment and his partnership on this issue. The council members, Councilmember Mark Traeger does not leave me alone about anything education related every single day. But this was
Don't ever change.
this was really a partnership between Chair Traeger as well as the entire Women's Caucus. We have one of the co-chairs, Carlina Rivera, who is here. The other co-chair, Margaret Chin, was instrumental, and the chair of our Committee on Women, who has been a huge leader on this issue, talking about it every single budget negotiating meeting that we had. I want to thank Helen Rosenthal, Chair Helen Rosenthal, for her leadership as well. And to the hardworking teachers and daycare directors who have long awaited this day, congratulations. I want to thank you for caring for New York City's children and for educating the next generation of leaders who hopefully will be sitting behind this dais someday soon. We cannot have a system where certified teachers and community-based organizations start out earning thousands of dollars less than those doing the same job in public schools. It was not right, and today is setting the path to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Today we are finally closing that gap that has existed for far too long. And the contract extension, as the mayor talked about, is going to give pay parity to certified teachers with bachelor's and master's degrees. We're going to give support staff a signing bonus, hopefully upon ratification, and then there'll be a pattern conforming increase that happens in 2021. And we're going to restructure healthcare to lower copays for folks across the entire industry, which is important and exciting as well. And we're looking at the pension system in a responsible and efficient manner. But most importantly, we are creating a system that doesn't lose sight of pay parity and ensuring that it happens so that all New York City teachers deserve the same pay, the same benefits, and the same respect. We can't afford to let this problem resurface again because the quality of our children's education is at stake, and too often community-based organizations lose effective teachers due to lack of pay parity, as the mayor talked about the retention issues and the recruitment issues that we know is persisting. And so now they don't need to switch systems. They can stay in the system that they want to be in. They can bring stability to our students' classrooms. We know that without a solid early childhood education, these children won't thrive in schools. We know the brain development that happens in those early years and how important it is. So by closing this pay gap for the starting salary, we are creating a more fair and more equitable city. And I just want to mention personally, for me, I still talk to my mom every single day, and my mom was my lunch lady in school when I was growing up. But she also had 3 jobs. My mom was my lunch lady. She was a part-time dental hygienist, and she cleaned houses on the weekend as well. And my mom always struggled with finding childcare for my sister and myself. And when I was old enough, I got to watch my sister to help my mom. And so this work for so many of us, not just me, but for so many people in this entire room, it's an issue that we felt in our lives, either as parents or as children or as part of a family structure. And so we know sometimes when we are talking about things in government, it can feel academic and it can feel like numbers on a piece of paper, but we know that this is going to have an immediate, real impact on the lives of the people who teach in these schools, but not just the folks who teach in the schools who are so important, but for families all across New York City that have to make these difficult decisions every single day. So I am really, really grateful that less than 3 weeks after we stood in that rotunda and announced that we had a budget deal, and understandably, folks in this room were a little anxious, saying, how quickly is it going to happen? Is it real? We've waited far too long. Less than 3 weeks later, we've got a deal. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank my staff. I want to thank Jason Goldman, who was key, my chief of staff. I want to thank LaTanya McKinney, and I really want to thank your team as well. Emma Wolf has been instrumental in this effort wherever she is, as well as Dean Fullahan, Melanie Hartzog, Renee Campion, and the rest of your team. They've really been wonderful to work with, so I want to thank you for the real partnership.
Thank you. So I want to turn now to Henry Garrido and in his leadership of District Council 37 AFSCME. He has been a central partner in so many things that we've done. The fact is that we work together with Henry and his team pretty much every day of the year on a host of issues because of the crucial role that his workforce plays in this city. But we've had a lot of important points where we had to make decisions together, and we've been able to do it every single time productively. In fact, it was his union that set the pattern this time for this round of negotiations overall. And I just want to say that when you're talking about issues that inevitably are complex, to have someone where there's total trust and total respect, including for Henry's extraordinary grasp of the whole range of issues. He's worked with a lot of people, and he's one of the people who understands, gets the complexities, sees solutions always, thinks creatively in a very, very powerful way, and that is one of the most essential reasons why we are sitting here today with an agreement. So my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of DC 37 AFSCME, Henry Garrido.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that kind introduction. Let me just say that you have demonstrated with deeds that when you approach workers with respect, when you come to the bargaining table with an open mind, we have been able to achieve extraordinary things for workers across the board, and I want to thank you for your commitment to those workers. Thank you so much. To the Speaker, your tenacious advocacy for early childhood, for this issue, for the issue of equity, was instrumental in getting this done. I want to thank you. I want to thank the members of your staff to listening to our concerns. You may wonder why DC 37 is here today. Earlier last month, in early June, District Council 1707 and DC 37 made a decision to unify as one union. We did not do that out of necessity. We were actually doing very well independently. But we understood that as long as the workers who are represented by both unions were being disenfranchised because they were being paid less or because their pensions or the health care systems was less than the other unions are receiving, we were not fine. So we made a decision to unify it as a team. So Kim Medina, the executive director, myself, have formed really one solid union that took from the beginning and tackled one of the most pervasive problems that we have, which is the issue of inequity within the system of the city of New York. And so we put together one of the most complicated deals because at the same time that we acknowledged that teachers were getting paid $20,000 less represented by Local 205 than their counterparts at the UFT, We also understood that there was a pattern-conforming necessity that wouldn't violate the rights of other workers, many of whom I represent. So this deal, what we're announcing today, is a historic deal for the workers because it not only achieves that parity, it ensures that the healthcare is taken care of, that we, as we did with city workers, we are not taking or giving the workers money and taking away their health insurance. It improves and lowers the co-pays and the premiums. It ensures the viability of the pension going forward. It ensures that the workers, more importantly, are treated with respect. Respect, not just teachers or directors, but every worker is treated with a level of respect. And we are here to tell you, both Kim and I'll let her speak in a moment, no longer would ever tolerate a system that treats workers like second-class citizens in the city of New York. I don't care if you're a teacher or you work in a cafeteria. So we did this, a deal as a partnership, and I want to thank those members for their patience, for their advocacy, for fighting with us every single day, and for standing with us every time we needed a rally, every time we needed to pressure someone or make a call or stand with us. You know who you are. And I want to thank you all for your advocacy. I want to thank the providers for working with us, for their patience too, because this is not an easy deal. But I want to say today is a victory for workers. And we're getting ready to celebrate the extraordinary achievement of the U.S. soccer team for what they did in the field.
That's right.
And we somehow that has become a referendum on pay equity. Guess what? We have extraordinary heroes here in New York working in child care centers and early childhood centers and head start centers who are heroes every single day. And to them, we celebrate your day for pay equity. Now I want to turn to my partner, the other leader who helped us achieve this, who's been fighting for this for decades, the Executive Director 1707, Kim Medina.
Good afternoon, family.
Oh, it's on.
It's on. Henry is my partner in every way, form, and fashion. We unified to make things better. But before I say all of what I need to say, I want to thank the mayor, because I drove him crazy, for his leadership and his extraordinary ability to care about our most vulnerable population and their lives that start and their families. So I thank you, Mr. Mayor, so much. And to the speaker, who yelled often on our behalf, Corey Johnson, we could not ask for a better ally than you. To the city council members who were at every rally, every demonstration, I thank you, because you were right there taking selfies with us, talking about we're not gonna do this again. But to our advocates, C4C, CCC, University House, you also, we've been blessed to have voices that were an extra part of 1707-37. I say that name jointly because we are now one, but knowingly, we are DC 37 AFSCME, and we are strong, and we are proud. I want to thank Renee Campion, who I drove crazy. On vacation, she was calling me so we can get this done. And when Henry came to the table with us, he said, what do you want to do? And we spoke openly about what was going on and how we felt, and he agreed. So my teachers and my assistant teachers, my aides, my assistant cooks, my janitors, my security that is in the building that are there, I want to thank you for your tireless and effortless work that you have given to our children and to their families, because you are the parent when they are not there. You are the love that they get when their mom is not there or their dad. I want to thank you for the many hot meals that you have given them. I want to thank the Daycare Council for providing agencies the ability to have workers. But to my membership, more than anything, you no longer suffer today. Because of the leadership in this city, because it is progressive and it understands the need of the working class. And because we have a labor leader like Henry Garrido who allows me to be his partner in this unification, you will suffer no longer. You are now able to pay your rent, hold your head up high, and be able to go back to school to do more for yourself and for your children in your own home. So today, together with the City Council, with our esteemed mayor, with our great leader Henry Garrido, all the support staff, and our advocates, we have made history that will reverberate across this country, because New York is the progressive city in this country. Where we swing, the rest of the world will swing. And I thank you for believing in us enough that you didn't question what we were doing, but trusted us enough to put your lives in our hands. So God bless you and thank you for this moment. I'm proud of all of you and the work that you do. To my staff who are on phones all the time, making sure that none of the shop stewards or the membership suffered in any kind of way, thank you. God bless all of you.
Two more speakers I want to hear from, because everyone's been part of making this happen. Daycare Council has been a crucial player on behalf of all the people who provide this service to our children. And I want to turn to a tenacious advocate for the educators, but also for the children and families from the Daycare Council, Lisa Caswell.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. My name is Lisa Caswell, and I'm the Daycare Council Senior Policy Analyst here on behalf of our Executive Director, Andrea Anthony, who is unfortunately unable to join us today. Before anything else, I must first thank our members. It is their dedication to the children and their parents that has justified our efforts, and it is their expertise and their conviction that will get us through. Together, we have achieved a pathway to salary parity. It will be done in steps so that by the end of this contract, entry-level certified teachers in nonprofit settings will be paid the same as their counterparts in the Department of Education. This was such a long fight, and there are so many people to thank, so please let me start with Mayor Bill de Blasio, whose commitment, his sincere commitment to fairness, played such a large part in these negotiations. With Comptroller Scott Stringer, our constant ally, and the current and most recent public advocates, Jumani Williams and Attorney General Tish James, who spoke out at every opportunity. And extremely seriously, to our Speaker, Corey Johnson, and the New York City Council, who carried the message and in the end refused to pass a budget without salary parity. Among these council members, we would like to give special thanks to Steve Levin, Mark Traeger, Lori Cumbo, and Danny Drum, who with the members of the Progressive and Women's Caucus were absolutely relentless on this issue. Women like Margaret Chin, Helen Rosenthal, Carlina Rivera. It should also be said that while there was considerable agreement at the bargaining table, these negotiations were quite complex. To that end, we would like to acknowledge OLR Commissioner Renee Campion. I'm so overwhelmed I can't talk. our counsel, Nilesh Patel, our senior research analyst, Mai Miksic, who was able to put together the first real numbers for the budget ask, and our colleagues in labor. It has been such an honor to stand with you. Finally, we must recognize our colleagues in the Campaign for Children. This is the engine that has brought us here today. Citizens Committee for Children, United Neighborhood Houses, the UJA Federation, and the Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies. We fought together on all fronts while our members kept the fires burning under our feet. This is a tremendous victory for the teachers who stayed when they could have made thousands more with the DOE, for the nonprofits who have provided exemplary service for decades, and finally for the city itself. May we continue to lead the way.
Lastly, want to introduce, and the Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies was mentioned a moment ago, and its leader was not only instrumental in getting us to this day, but also in the origins of our whole early childhood effort to begin with.
Yes.
Pre-K, and so I know that she understands how important it is to keep building on our early successes and why this agreement means so much. Jennifer Jones Austin.
Thank you. Mayor, I'm so excited to be able to celebrate this moment with you and with Speaker Johnson, Executive Director Garrido, all of you. This is tremendous. All of you in the room, people who may be listening in, we're all a part of this success, this victory for the city of New York, and we can't thank you enough. I actually remember very well the day that you declared that full-day universal pre-kindergarten would be a reality for all 4-year-old children here in New York City. I believe it was just 2 days after you were elected. And I remember standing with you and being very proud, feeling very excited. And I'm going to tell you that today, I feel that same pride and that same excitement, that we are taking such a very big step forward in this city to ensure that everybody caring for our children is paid fairly, is compensated fairly, right? That if you are doing the work that is happening in the Department of Education schools, the very same work that you get paid equally and fairly. So this is a big moment, and I thank you for it. I need to say a word about the CFC, the C4C. The Campaign for Children was founded back in 2011 before you became mayor, with a vision very similar to yours, Mayor, to ensure quality early childhood education, a strong foundation for all children here in New York City. And so to be here in this moment to say that we are taking this very big next step forward that ensures that quality by ensuring stability in our early childhood community-based settings, that's a big deal. And I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank Speaker Johnson enough for his leadership. You know, he was not going to give this up in this last budget cycle, and we thank you for that, all of the City Council. And again, C4C, ably led by Jennifer March and all the agencies that were listed, called out, just a few minutes ago, everybody working together. And most of all, the staff out in the community-based organizations who do the work on a daily basis to make sure that our children receive the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to our colleagues in the media, we will now take questions on this agreement. Questions from the media today. Gloria.
Mr. Mayor, what is the total cost of the agreement over the next 3 years, right? What is the total cost that we're looking at?
Budget Director Melanie Hartzog will take your question.
So the total cost for the agreement is $15 million roughly at full implementation in fiscal year '23. The net cost to the budget is actually $5 million. The difference comes from the labor reserve. It's already in the budget.
The net cost in this year's budget or by implementation?
I'm saying in the labor reserve, we already had funding. So the net cost, meaning what we will add at the November plan, is $5 million in fiscal year '23 at full implementation.
And I just wondered if maybe for one of the union leaders, if you could tell us what the average pre-K instructor, I'm just trying to compare what people have been making now, what their salaries look like, and what this deal will mean in terms of the rates.
Well, as it was said, at entry level, a teacher with a master's degree makes $20,000 less under the contract than the UFT counterpart. With a BA, it's about $17,000. What this agreement does is achieves that gap with the projected increases that the United Federation of Teachers will get over a 3-step period, right? Beginning in September of this year, following year, and the year thereafter. So that by the time the conclusion of the 3 years, we would be in full parity with the UFT. Also, we would align all the contracts so that for future references when we try to fight, we don't just create an inequity that we just keep catching up. So part of the clever part of this deal is that not only did we achieve the difference between the $47,858 and the $68,652 for a May certified and the 43 versus the 61 for a teacher with a BA certified, but we also have aligned all the contracts for all the teachers, whether you work in a school or you work in a nonprofit, to be at the same level. And that allows us to prospectively also keep fighting for the same equity that we just achieved today.
Yes, ma'am.
You think more than just pre-K instructors, who else is represented in this labor deal beyond people who are in the classroom?
So it's also all of the support staff. So that's the cooks, the assistant cooks, the janitorial staff, the bookkeepers, teachers' aides. So it's everyone who services, because they don't just cook, they also cook to give healthy meals. And they work with the children too. A cook can go into any classroom and the children know them by name. How are you, Miss So-and-so? How are you, Mr. So-and-so? They ask how their mom and dad are. Sometimes they're there observing lunch. They know every child's allergy because they need to know that. They need to know how to prepare the meals. The janitors need to know what's safe and not safe to use in liquids. So of course, everyone should be recognized for the work that they do and respected. And that's what we went into with this. It was not just the teachers, it was everybody that was included in the line.
Hi, Christina Vega with Chalk Beat. Two questions. What's happening with local 95 members, and are non-union members covered in this agreement? And actually, a third, how many teachers versus support staff are covered in this?
Renee, you want to start?
Hi. So let's start with the numbers. So in Local 205, the number of certified teachers is about 315. The uncertified teachers are about 900, and there's about 3,000 support staff. So that is a total of 4,200 for this agreement that we're talking about today. On your question about Local 95, as the mayor spoke, this contract has to be ratified. And once it's ratified, we will then go on to conversations regarding Local 95, which is the Head Start group. And then there'll be further conversation. This will be a model or a framework for moving forward into the Local 95, and then also for the non-represented workers. We're using this as a model for the certified teachers.
Teachers are non-union.
Okay, we're going to take that one, but then I need to get other people in. So
Sure.
do you have that number? You need to get
Sure.
About a 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah,
2 to 1 in favor of.
right.
It's about a 2-to-1 ratio, non-represented teachers. And by the way, this is a good opportunity to say join a union.
That's right.
You know, they said about
Like
that
that.
point between an unmovable object and an unstoppable force relies a union. This is a good opportunity to say to those who are non-union, come join us.
I'm joining.
Come join us.
Very nicely done. So just all the folks in the media, we'll take some more questions, but there will be a technical briefing after. So if it's just pure specific technicalities agreement, folks who know the details will go over it with you. Go ahead.
Just two are non-unionized to unionized one.
Yeah,
Ratio 2 to 1.
Yes, 2-to-1, two non-union for the teachers and one.
Okay, yes.
Why isn't Chancellor Carranza here for this announcement today?
I am not familiar with Chancellor Carranza's schedule today, but the folks who were directly involved in the negotiation are here today. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Mr. Mayor, you talked a lot about UPK out on the campaign trail. Why did this take so long? This has been an issue for a while for these educators. Why is it taking until this point to reach this agreement?
A couple of things I'd say. First of all, remember, even though I don't think it got a lot of coverage at the time, it was a perfectly public thing that at the beginning of the administration, we took the first step toward parity. And that had not been done before. Folks had been stuck in place for a long, long time. And Renee can go over the details of what was done initially, but this is not our first time at the rodeo. We've actually made a major step for parity early in the administration. But to resolve a pathway, it was very complex. And as with everything else, there were a lot of other competing needs we were trying to address, not only in early childhood education, but so many other areas. We had to figure out something that would work, and we had to believe it would be sustainable. And this one, you know, remembering that folks involved who do such important work, they're not direct city employees, so there's more actors in this than in our other types of labor negotiations. We kept working at it. Everyone worked in good faith, but finding, sort of cracking the code and finding the formula that would work and would be sustainable, it took quite a while, but we finally got there. Please, please.
Let me just say, because this stuff can get very complicated, but one, the inequity did not just exist in salary. And I want to emphasize that. Health insurance is a very big deal, and our members were concerned about the changes that were done for health insurance. This deal ensures that those premiums go significantly down, using the experience that we have with city workers to drive down costs without increasing the cost for the city of New York and the taxpayers. At the same time, the pension issue was a big issue too, right? Because you don't want to create an inequity there as well, right? The UFT teachers get a very good pension with the teachers' retirement system. So we need to make sure that the inequities there were also fixed. So just, you know, having come to the deal a little later than most in this table can tell you that the complexity of the work of getting that, all while achieving something that was pattern conforming, was not an easy thing to do. Because we also have to respect the 300,000 plus city workers who all sacrificed and got a contract just for the sake of parity of something that was not done for 20 years. You don't want to violate their rights. So this deal achieves both. It does equity, it takes care of the health insurance, it ensures the viability of the pension, but it doesn't violate the rights of all the city workers who also had to do the same thing when they did their collective bargaining agreement.
Does the cost that Melanie gave, does that include the pension, healthcare as well? And is there a larger projected cost once all of even the non-represented employees are added?
So the cost that I gave out is just for the deal that we discussed. The cost for the actual pension is $15 million over 15 years, $2.5 million in fiscal year 20, and then 1.5 and then going to 1.
Okay, last call. Again, there'll be a technical briefing after. Let me go back there.
Is there anything in this contract to address the pay gap for teachers who've been in the system, say 10 or 15 years? Because I know it gets larger the longer you've been working in the CBOs.
Renee, you want, or who wants to?
Go ahead, you should.
Right. Hi. So there are the existing longevity differentials that are in the Local 205 contract. Those continue to exist to the extent that people receive those. But the increases that we've been able to put into place for 10/1/21, those increases everyone will receive.
Okay, Gloria.
Ms. Randy, are charters that provide pre-K included in this?
Everyone represented by 1707 to begin with, by this local.
Do you mean charter schools?
Right. You don't have members in those charter schools, right? So you just don't have them there. Okay, last call media questions on this agreement. Going once, twice, stick around for anyone who needs a technical briefing. Congratulations, everybody.